Hello, this is Mike, and I was wondering about world building for D&D. So I watched some a bunch of hours of my favorite YouTubers that already have videos about this, and I made this little Excel with my favorite advice from them. Most of them like the starting micro and going macro approach. I guess Ron Smith has it the other way around, starting big and going to the details. But I'm going to read you my favorite French one and the one advice where there is consensus between almost all of them. The one that almost all of them mention in their videos. Okay, so let's start. We have Ron Smith, and as I said, his approaches start with the creation of the world and then go, to the micro picture. But my favorite advice from Ron Smith was write the basic guidelines, starting with basic guidelines for your world. I think it's important. I think for anything you want to build or you want to write, right? Then let's go with my favorite from Ron Hammer. My favorite from Ron Hammer is make sure to read good fantasy in order to get a good handle on the overall fantasy vocabulary. Learn what the tropes are. Yeah, and so I guess if you want to, do whatever project, you have to inform yourself a lot first. Read whatever is already written, and that will help you a lot to start doing your own home brewing. Then my favorite from Tabletop Weekly archive is think about the key things that make your world different, things that make your world interesting. I think in the video he mentions Eberron and how the thing that makes Eberron different is the technology and the corporations. So yeah, that's I think that's great advice. If I make a homebrew world, I try to make something new or different, or else I will just use one of the already ready-made, worlds that you can buy. Okay, let's continue. From Dungeon Dudes, my favorite advice was take time to retcon and change. It's also important. Sometimes we write our worlds and don't want to change it. We are too in love with our own work to modify it, but I think it's important to be open to just make retcons and rebuild stuff when things don't work. I've played some homebrew campaigns multiple times, and I improved them and even changed things that I thought were super important from the beginning, or that I loved from the beginning, but they weren't working for playing. So yeah, just change stuff. Okay, from Taking 20, it says build a world that complements the type of game you want in that campaign. The kind of gameplay. I think this is very important because, when I used to work well, sometimes I get more concentrated on the, fantasy and the artistic part, and not think on the gameplay, right? If you want to if your players like dungeon crawls, you have to think about it when you create the world to put lots of dungeons around. If your players like to role play and political intrigue, you have to think about it and build, noble houses and work how the politics are going to, but politic systems, people, etc. Right? So you have to think what kind of game are you going to run before you start world building. Then Matt Mercer, one of his advice was reskin and reintroduce unused stuff. And he gives an example of what if you make a thief guild and the players ignore it completely. Just take that same thief guild, rename it, and put it in another part of the game where your players are going to be more interested. And then let's go and see the one that most of them agree or have consensus about is this one. Runehammer says, do your world building for your players. And then Tabletop Weekly says something similar. Creating a world for D&D is not like writing a book. You are creating a world, and the most important thing is to give your players a very detailed, rich world where their actions matter, right? It's for the players. Dungeon Dudes say something similar. Your world exists to facilitate adventures. And then Taken 20 also said something really similar. Think about the scene that you're painting for your players. What kind of tone? And then Matt Mercer says something also similar. He says, come up with a strong theme for the excitement of your players. And then he says you want there to be even a sole theme that excites you too, right? To tell a unique story also. But I think that the point where all of them agree is that you have to world build thinking on your game, on your players, on what your players like to play, their game style, what they would like to do in the game, right? As I said, depending on what kind of game. And yeah, that's it for today. I'm going to link this little Excel down in the description. Also, all the links to each one of the videos I used as sources for this little summary. And I hope this was informative for someone out there. Thank you very much for watching. And see you in the next one. Have a good day. Bye.